Welcome. I'm Janelle Kolaski, a career mindset coach and actor.
And I'm Amanda Dubois, a self-authenticity and prosperity life coach and actor as well. And we're your co-host of Mindset Artistry YouTube channel,
where we teach you the art of discovering and using your mindset
to build a career and life you desire.
Point with this live is I want to encourage everybody to keep going with whatever is in your heart that you feel that you're meant to do. A lot of times, it's not that anybody thinks anything but easy, like especially working in fashion entertainment. Anybody wants to be a model or actor or host or anything. We are told by everyone, all of society, that, good luck, you're probably not going to make it. And so we all know that everybody has a different journey, but sometimes self-doubt can creep in whenever things aren't really lining up, especially if you've been really going at it for a long time or going down a certain path, or you thought this would be it. And the really beautiful thing is, after you go like this so many times, and Amanda can speak to this, you just get used to it, the ebb and the flow of at least a career in fashion entertainment. And we can also speak to life. I'm injured right now. I have a back injury that's taken me out for a week, and I'm really mad about it. But we're all learning. Hello, Dan. Hi. So, Amanda, I would love to hear an example. Like, when you think trusting the process, can you give me an example of something that's happened in your life that came up where you really had to trust the process?
Wow, there are so many different scenarios I can think of. I mean, the one that really stands out, and I think we talked about the recent one of my scene not getting aired on the episode of Blue Bloods, right? If you were not aware of that, go back to the last episode. We'll talk about that. But I think that one of the things was, and it was the most difficult aspects or choices I had to make, was quitting my job, quitting my 9 to 5. And I think I had hesitated for 2 years, going on a third year, and I was miserable. I was unhappy. I'm not saying everyone quit their job and forget this, throw the paper up and walk out, mic drop. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that I was so hesitant to trust the process of pursuing a career that was unpredictable, that was possibly inconsistent, that not many people, according to statistics, make it or are successful. All these bad scenarios and unpredictability and fear and doubt were coming in my mind. And it got to the point that it was either a choice of stay here in this current job that I was in at the time, the 9 to 5, which wasn't bad, be in that position and be unmotivated, uncreative, miserable, depressed, and not pursue something that was haunting me every single day, which was my creativity, my purpose, and the gift that was bestowed upon me the minute I was born, that was meant to be shared with the world. Or, so it was those two choices. I was like, well, what do I have to lose? All I am losing is possibly the opportunity of living a joyful life, even though, again, so unpredictable, so much fear, but I would just be miserable and regretting staying there, which would affect my relationships with myself, with my colleagues, with, people that come in, because I worked in HR. So people that were coming in for interviews, it would affect everything. So I had to trust the process of quitting and going, all right, let's do this and see what happens. And that was one of the scariest things I had to do. And it was the most rewarding thing that I did, because I got to explore my art. I got to dive into it more that I didn't get to do while I was working. And I got to meet more people and be more creative and experiment. And if I didn't do that, I don't think I would be the same person I am today.
It's so true. It's very character building, as they say, but that's what you need. And they always say, whatever you believe in, but God will never give you anything that you can't handle. And we were talking about with our guest, Jen, I think a couple weeks ago, or maybe just last week, about how, and Amanda and I talk about this with our clients, you have to look at where you want to go. Like, what is your ultimate dream? No ceiling. Don't listen to anybody tell you about your life. What do you really want in life? And write out a day in the life of that person. What are their habits? What do they do? How do they think? Who's around them? And, that person is a different place than you are now. And you have to understand that there has to be a process involved to get there. And it's not going to be very clear. And you have to make big changes. And anytime you have to make big changes in your life, there's a wild process involved. And it's not always so easy. And looks like jumped in the perfect time. I relate to this. Yes, Nocturnal Fame is amazing. He was a photo shoot with me. Yes, and Dan's going through it too. And so speaking to trusting the process, so I wanted to do modeling, and I'm 5'8", size 8, started in 2004. Things were different then. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go down this road and I'm going to pursue modeling. And I was getting so many no's in my face for like basically everybody telling me everything was wrong with me. But I was like, but I can't let go of this idea that I'm supposed to model. I just can't shake it. And it's both a blessing and a curse because Amanda knows I'm very stubborn. And I was like, but really I feel, and that's why I encourage everybody watching today, even if you're just joining, coming, going, we all know what we want to do with our lives. We do. You definitely do. And sometimes maybe you have to do a little more research into something or try something out, but you know deep down what you really want to do. And sometimes we're always looking for these external examples, just like this instant gratification to show us like, yeah, you're right. But really, you have to come back to you. You have to listen to yourself and be like, if I woke up tomorrow and I quit, would I forgive myself? And there's like the stubborn, like I understand I'm very stubborn, where it's like, okay, I'm just gonna, beat this like my head into a wall to make it happen. Or that's like, deep in your heart, you're like, no, this is what I'm supposed to do. And so I'm trying to encourage everybody that if you're going through it and you're not seeing the results you would expect, you don't know why things happen. So go back to my modeling story. I was not making any headway. I was ready to give up. And it was finally, I met my agent that I've had for 10 years now. I just like went into her space and people are like, well, you're all wrong for editorial and you're all wrong for runway modeling. And that's all I knew. But then because I went for those things and I trust the process of pursuing modeling and just the industry and learning about it and just sticking with my gut that I was supposed to do it, I eventually found production fit modeling, which has been very lucrative, and I work every week now. But if I didn't trust the process and I was just like, well, my initial idea of the way things were supposed to go didn't work out, guess I'm not supposed to do it, I wouldn't be working full-time modeling and acting right now and hosting and producing and all the things we do. So Amanda, what advice do you have for people? And Amanda's great with like these like things that you can do, like the journaling and the meditations and all the stuff. What advice do you have for people whenever they want to give up and they're confused by what is being shown to them and like, is this really right for me?
Yeah. Here's the truth. Everyone, including yourself, is going to tell you what's wrong. What's wrong about you? What's wrong about the scenario? What's wrong about your choices, your dreams, your goals? It's so easy to talk about what's not working and what's wrong. But it's much harder to cling or to have faith and hope in something that's good, in something that you can't quite grasp, but know that there's something beautiful about it. And that is what's within you. That is your gift. That is your talent. That is that, like Nell says, that your dream that you cannot give up. Every time you wake up in the morning or you're walking through the day or you go to bed, you're thinking about that. That means it's something that you're meant to do. Okay. And so I know it's easier said than done. And I always say this, but try to not focus on what's not working, what's wrong, the failure. Trust me, I did it this past week as far as like, again, I booked a role on a TV show and my scene did not get aired. I automatically went to like, oh my gosh, horrible actor, something went wrong. And there's so many factors into it. Maybe that scene made it run over at 45 minutes or 47 minutes, whatever it is, or they didn't need it because it didn't feed the storyline. It could be anything. So I gave myself the grace to process those negative feelings, those low vibrational feelings, that pain, that suffering. And the next day it cleared up space within me, especially my mind. Because imagine if I didn't do that and I just go, I'm okay, it's all right, it's fine. And I didn't process those emotions or feelings. The next day I would have woke up with it. life is terrible, nothing is going right for me, I should continue to give up, this is, this is the end all be all, I wouldn't have had a clear mind to go, oh wait, there's an opportunity here that I didn't see. So I didn't get my scene aired, which means it gives me the opportunity now to re-audition for a role that has an arc, that has a longer storyline. And also, I got to work with all those amazing people on that show. So now they're familiar with me. So I know what to expect going back on that set once I book. I've met casting. So that is the light in the dark. That's the aim issue I have with myself, myself personally. Absolutely. And it can be so difficult. And especially if around you, everyone else is doing that. All they can do is complain. Complain, 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 complain. Because what? That is society. Society is always going to tell you, again, what's wrong with you. But it's your responsibility to tell you what's right and seek out what's right and what's good for you, which is your joy, which is your passion, which is your gifts and talents. And then trust the process.
Yes, trust that process. And I love that. As you were talking, I was thinking this or something better, right? That's what we always say. When we're making our goals, everybody's watching, or your intentions, or sometimes people have, different opinions about different words. Hello, James. James is an amazing designer. He's so cool. Well, all the things. He does so many things. We did a belt ad years ago, but it's really also the big thing I want to remind you is just be patient with yourself. And that's anything that I'm really learning this week with my back. And the fear can come up. Look, I really pride myself in being a hard worker and being able to do a lot. And I love to do a lot. I'm a very stubborn person. And it's very scary that my back went out and I haven't been able to work for a week. And I'm like, well, how will I make money? Will I be replaced at my jobs and all these things? And worrying about all that. And well, Amanda and probably a lot of people at this point have just told me, especially for someone stubborn like me, sometimes life will really just make you sit down and slow down so you can really listen. And not that anybody deserves to get hurt, as a wild one, skiing and roller skating, picking up book bags and punching. And, it was only a matter of time. But really, when I really need to know the direction to go, and this is something I've done, when I'm really like at the end of my rope and I'm like, fine, I give up. I just can't do it anymore. I've thrown my tantrums. I've worked so hard. I've stressed myself out. I'm exhausted. A lot of times I'll even just go upstate New York and I'll just sit and be still and quiet with myself. And the answer that's always been there is there. And so if things aren't happening the way you want them to, just be like, all right, well, I need to be still right now and really listen. What do I want? What feels good to me? What excites me? What makes me happy? And just kind of slow down. And it'll be pretty fascinating what happens and the ideas that come to you. And I'm very guilty of this, which is why I want to encourage people that are watching. This is part of the process. Sometimes you do have to let things slow down and marinate, because a lot of times we think, I don't have enough time and I have to do everything all the time. But slowing down and really listening to yourself is part of that. Hello, James. Because Amanda and I talk about all these components. Amanda, I'm blanking right now, but what you call them, it's not necessities, it's
Essentials. I call them essentials.
Amanda talks about the essentials, and then I kind of talk about the building blocks that I kind of build up for modeling and acting, that checking off these boxes, like, okay, well, I've tried this. Is that not working? Okay, I'm going to go over here, whether it's more networking or self-care or what have you. And so just be patient with yourself. Make sure you take the time to listen to yourself, and don't look left or right. Stop looking at what's happening for everybody else, and don't listen to anybody. Like, oh, I see they're really going to make it because I see what they're doing, or, oh, that person's an overnight success, or they really have it. We all have different talents and strengths and weaknesses or whatever. And something that may be easier for somebody else, harder for you, and vice versa, or whatever. But as I always say, just stick to that dream that is in your heart. Reminds me of Tara Brach, radical self-honesty. Yeah, I have to check that out. Yeah, I love that. It's so true. You have to be honest with yourself always about what you really want, and it comes back to you, you know? So, because you don't know how things are going to happen for you. Like when I wanted to do modeling when I was like 8 years old, I didn't think it would happen the way that it did. And for some other people, they started modeling sooner, but then there's other people that wanted to model and I got work sooner. So, really focus on yourself and just stick with it. Don't give up. Amanda, I don't want anyone to give up.
No, we don't want you to ever give up. And that's why we created this community, because we are honest about the journey of life. It's never going to be smooth sailing. It's never going to be smooth sailing. Just imagine if a sail was on the ocean. You've got storms, you've got other animals that are intervening, all these things. So just be realistic about the reality of life and understand that you are in control. You cannot control anybody else but yourself. All the circumstances outside of you, you cannot control. You have to rely on you, how you are and what you have hope in, and your passions and your truth. And that's why it's really important to do the inner work. And it's not easy, because of a lot of admitting, a lot of responsibility that you have to realize you have to take, a lot of the choices that you made. And don't ever, you got to utilize that sail. Exactly. You have to utilize that sail. You have to learn. I'm not really good on the verbiage of sailing, I'm gonna be honest, but I'm just not gonna even try. Just not gonna even do it. But you know what I mean. If you know sailing, you know that there are components to handle certain scenarios. The wind, the rain, there are all these things that you have to take in consideration. The engine, all the things, right? And so think of yourself that way. I'm very big on analogies. I'm very big on utilizing different things, because sometimes people learn differently, and that's why I like to use different words, because it's based on perception. So like I call it essentials instead of practices, because maybe sometimes an ideology for you or a thought around practices makes you cringe, because that brings you back to the time when you were younger and practice was traumatizing for you because your parents made you over practice. So there, use the words that would uplift you rather than bring you down. And so I'm very big on reassociating like dialogue. And again, that's when it's really important to do that inner work and understand that there is a community out there for you. I know it's sometimes hard to find, and it's hard for us to be vulnerable. It's hard for us to speak our truth because we can be judged, we can be ridiculed. But there is a community for you. And if you ever feel like you don't have one, you have one right here. We are very honest about our, I wouldn't say failures, but our mishaps, our mistakes. We are very honest about it. And we want you to be honest too and embrace those moments as well, because those are the learning opportunities within your life. Those are the doors that you need to break down and swing the crap open. You know what I mean? And it can be so scary. So scary, because we have so much baggage that we tend to carry from the past, from other people, from life. And it can be almost feel comfortable to keep it with you because that's all you know. They're so much better once you let it go. So much lighter, so much more joy, and honestly, clarity into what your life is supposed to look like for you and no one else.
Oh yeah, I've just given up on being comfortable. No, I mean, really getting comfortable with the uncomfortable, or comfortable with change, as long as it's positive change and it's helping you. It's just so true. And I love that. And yes, the joy of getting real. It is, and it gets easier. I don't know. It's kind of like, it's always scary to try something new, and then you do it and you're like, oh, that wasn't that bad. And so we have to jump off of here. But before we go, just everybody that's still watching, I just really want to encourage you, please keep going. I'm telling you, if it's something that you want to do and you know it's not leaving you, it's out there for you. It's meant for you. You just got to show up for it, and just stay calm. Keep your eyes and ears open and your soul. And like, if things aren't happening, just be more with yourself. What are your thoughts about this episode?
Drop it in the comments and let us know what you want to dive into next.
Subscribe, like, share, and click the link below to book a free consultation. And
We'll see you next time.